Hello, welcome to Createful Art. It's Ashley Krieger here, and we are celebrating Createful Christmas, where we paint lots of Christmas decor. And today I would love to show you how to paint this really cute Christmas gnome. This is really fun and relaxing to paint. I'm so glad that you will be joining me today. Let's begin with the supplies that we need to paint this together. First of all, you can use whatever acrylic paints that you have. If you don't have any, this is the set that I enjoy. There's a link in the description below. It has all of the 5 colors that make all the other colors in it. The other thing I like about this set is that it has a nice bright red if you want to get a bright red in your Christmas paintings. And you'll want to have a surface to paint on. I'm going to be using an 8 by 10 inch canvas, but you can use whatever size you want. And a variety set of brushes. I have put the ones that I like in the description below. So now let's start by mixing the colors that are going to be used in this painting. To mix these colors, you're going to need a primary yellow, a primary red, which is magenta, a bright red if you have that in your set, so you don't have to mix it, a primary blue color, black, and white. You can be creative with the colors that you want to use, or you can get the full tutorial with the color mixing handout that goes along with this lesson by becoming a Createful Art member. Feel free to use any colors that you wish. You can even use any of the other colors from the color mixing handout and then keep them in your Stay Wet palette, and you can use them for other paintings that we're going to paint this year. Once you have all your colors and supplies ready, we can begin. The first step is to paint the background. I'm just going to use the tan color that I have created. The entire background is going to be this color, so I just use my big wash brush that's about a 1/2 inch flat, and I just move that paint onto my canvas. In this next step, I'm going to use my round size 6 brush, and I'm going to put it in my black, and I'm going to start here at the very center at the top. So I'm going to make a round ball where I want the round ball of the hat to be. And then I'm taking a line down from the middle of that to the left and then curving around like an S curve or a backwards S. And then I'm taking that out again with another curve. And this is outlining the hat of the gnome. Now back at the top, I'm going to do the right side, and I'm going to shape it a little differently, so less curvy as I come down. And now I'm going to add in the nose, and the nose is in the center, around the same area as the bottom of the hat. So I can create a perfect circle here or just an oval shape, it doesn't matter. The bottom of the hat comes up and reaches the top of the nose and then goes to the right. So the right side needs to meet the line down here on the side and then on the left side as well. So starting there on the left side, we create a curved line to reach about the center of the nose, and then another curved line the same on the right side. Now we're going to put in the shoes, which is a curved line going down from left to right, and then just a curved line on the bottom as well, and they're going to be underneath each of those cheeks down at the bottom. And then you can add legs to yours if you wish, just 2 lines on the sides of those feet. So now let's sketch out where we want the wreath to be around the gnome. So I do want to have the wreath come down and be in a circle, but I do want to have leaves and stuff coming out. So I'm giving myself an idea of how far I want the leaves to come out to the sides of my canvas. And then where I want the wreath to meet to come around the hat of the gnome. So you can use my reference photo to help you if you wish. This is a great time for that, and this is also a great time to get creative if you want to do your own things. So now I'm going to create a curved C where I want the hands to be holding the wreath. Because the gnome has mittens on, we're just going to create a circle on one side and then a C on the other side. Now you can decide how you want your beard, how far you want it to come out. This is a great time to be creative and shape your beard however you wish. Now let's place the flower on the wreath. I want it to be a little off center over on the left. And basically it's 5 petals that meet in the middle. So you can always reshape this if you need to, make it bigger or smaller, however you wish. This is a great time to make any adjustments to your gnome that you wish. The next step is painting the hat. I'm going to paint mine red, and I'm going to use the maroon color and my red and adjust those colors as I wish. Now I can use white to lighten that color, yellow to brighten the color, and I can use black to darken the color. And I'm just going to fill in the entire hat with that color that I have chosen. So I follow the edges of the hat with the edge of my brush, and I just move my paint around as I fill it in. And I'm going to add a little bit of my white to my brush, and I'm going to lighten the right side of the hat. So I'm using the white and the wet red paint to mix and make a lighter color. Now we use the dark maroon color that we added the black to the red, and I'm going to focus on putting this on the left side of my hat. Notice how I follow the curves of the lines on the hat, but notice how I leave part of the original hat color between the light part and the dark part of the hat. This is just the first layer, so now we're going to add the first layer of the skin onto the gnome. So let's start with a clean brush, and this is a great time to adjust the skin on your gnome. You can have it the same color as your background color if you wish, or you can make it a little bit pinker or darker. So I'm just going to go around the edges of my sketch and on top of the nose. So notice how I come in here to get some pink, and I add just a little bit in the center area of the cheeks. Now you can adjust the gray that's already on your palette with black, white, or you can add a tint of blue to it. And so this is how you create dimension in your beard and actually make it look white. So you have to have darker colors underneath it. I'm using my 1/2 inch flat brush, and my brush strokes go in the direction of the hairs of my beard. Now notice how I'm not painting every little individual hair. I'm filling in right underneath the nose to create the mustache, and I filled in that area. So you just need to fill in some of your areas going in the direction of your beard and creating some darkness. So this beard is a play of dark against light, and the brush strokes going in the direction of the hairs. And you fill in sections, not individual hairs. We'll get to the individual hairs at the end when we add in details and decide how detailed we want it to be. So notice how I painted the beard around the flower. That's because we're going to paint the flower in this step, and we don't want it to mix in with the white of the beard. Creating the petals by going around like this and then filling it in the center. It's the same color as the hat. You can have it lighter if you wish by adding white, or darker if you wish by adding the black color. Using that same brush and one of your green colors, so you can decide whether you want the more turquoise green or the darker green. And basically we're just going to start adding in leaves and going towards that line we created. So notice how I use the point of my brush to make the point of the leaf. I push down on my brush, and then I come back to a point. Then I can create a line to make it a stem of some sort. So I'm going to place my leaves, and I'm going to do like a one brush stroke method here. And I can grab different colors of green. So I'm mixing that almost turquoisey green that we created with the hunter's green. And I can even add yellow to that if I wish to get a different green. And it gives a variety of different greens in my wreath. And I'm just going to go around creating all these leaves in different positions, different ways. Some of them are going to be thinner, some of them are going to be smaller. The key to making your wreath look great is that it has a lot of variety to it. And that's what I'm doing. So if you need to get some help with my reference photo, go ahead and grab that. Otherwise, you can get creative in this step and just play around with how you're putting your leaves. And you could try pushing on your brush on one side and then leaving the center with the background color, and then doing it on the left side as well, so that it'll be one leaf and it'll have a center area. Or you can also use your brush to create a center area by making it a little lighter or darker. When you are a Createful Art member, you get the full tutorial, so you get to see all of my brush strokes as I'm creating this wreath. Otherwise, you get the basic steps and how I do it, and then I move on to the next step. Just make sure you don't go over the hat with your leaves. So now it's time to paint the gloves on our gnome here. You can decide whatever color you want to do. Just fill in with the main color the glove area. And because the beard is going to go over the shoes and we haven't necessarily put on all of the final layers, it doesn't matter if you go over some of your beard right now. Whatever color that you used, add some black to it. And then with your round brush, go and make a little C curve and follow the bottom of the shoe. And then I'll add a curved line right here on the gloves to show that the fingers are folded over. And then another little line right here on this other glove. For the highlights, you add white to the color, that main color you were using. And then you just add it in the spots where the light would touch. So you can use my reference photo to help you, but it's usually next to the shadow area. Now you have painted all the base layers of your gnome. Now it's time for the final details, which include your personal preferences. So first I'm going to add some of these layers of the beard over the top of the shoes and add more layers to the beard. Notice how I'm using white. This is going to be the top layer of my beard, and if I had started with white, then it would be very difficult to see it in the under layers, and that's why we use darker colors underneath and not the pure white. And I'm going to work on my wreath a little bit more because my personal preference is to have it a little more full. So if you want to keep yours the way that it is, go ahead, or you can fill in your wreath a little bit more like I'm going to do. Now I'm going to add some detail and another layer on my flower. So I'm just going to add some of the shadow area around the center and go on the outsides of my petals here with a darker red. Now I'm just going to use straight black to add some shadow underneath the shoes. I'll also take this moment to flatten the bottom of the shoes. So flatten that line right there so that it looks like the bottom of the shoe is flat, not rounded. I'll do the same thing with the gloves. I'm going to go around the edges of the glove so that there's shadow on the sides, and that'll make the glove pop out a little bit more. I'll do this on both gloves to stay consistent, give them a similar look. This is the moment that I decided to use that darker gray color from the palette instead of the blue color that I have from our palette. And so that's why that color, the baby blue, was not in our color mixing and this color was. I'm going to pull down just a little bit further down here with the beard so that it covers some of the shoe. So I can get in some details here with the tip of my brush and make some fine lines for the beard. I'm also going to make my beard a little bit fuller, reaching to the sides. Now I have the pom-pom of the hat that's up here at the top that I kind of forgot about, and I'm going to fill it in with some white and then just go around in a circle with my brush strokes. And I can create that pom-pom as big as I want to. It's cotton, so I'm just going to create some brush strokes that give it a fluffy look and then add a little bit of gray on the edges so that it's more defined against the background. I'm going to add just a layer of white right here to make a shine on the nose. I'm going to add additional layers of the petals onto my flower. So I'm just going to use my brush like this, and notice the contrast of the colors. I'm using the tan color from my background. I'm also going to add some leaves around my flower that are coming in towards the flower. And that can define some of the edges of the red, make them stand out a little bit more. Now I want to add a few dots in the center of my flower here. With the tip of my brush, I do that. With that same dark color that I have on my brush, the dark maroon, I'm going to edge the left side of the hat a little bit more, just to give it more dimension, and another layer of paint. I'm just going to keep going because I'm enjoying myself, but if you run out of time to paint, you could be done at any point. So I'm just going to give you some ideas. Maybe you could add a little bit of pink on the nose. You could add a little more detail to your flower, maybe even add some yellow in the center. You could define the mustache just a little bit more, or you could add a facial expression like a line for a smile. You could add more contrast in your lines, or you could take away some of the contrast by lightening some of your lines. You could even change the color of your lines. You could add more detail to certain parts of your painting, like adding shine to the shoe that I'm doing right now. Or you can take away details if you feel like there's too many and you want to have a more impressionistic look. You can keep your colors soft and muted, or soften them even more than they are now, or brighten them up if you like to have more colorful painting or a pop to your painting. I just recommend that if you do that to one part of your painting, then find another place to do it in your painting so that it looks harmonious. You're done with your painting when you love it. That's the goal here, is that I teach you the steps and then I encourage you to be creative so that your painting can look unique to you. I hope you had a wonderful time relaxing and getting creative. You should feel proud of yourself for doing something that you love and accomplishing something great today. Happy painting, my friend, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.